Today we are going to rehouse a couple of velvet spiders, guys. These are, well, as she runs immediately back to her little tunnel. These are a couple that I've been growing up for a while now, and as you can see, these are just temporary housings, but I really want to get them in something a little bit more appealing to the eye. So we have some ant formicariums that I've modified with some plugs to prevent the, well, escape. For our first one, we're going to use some, well, lava stone. These guys naturally inhabit areas that have rocky outcrops and a lot of grasses and things like that. And I thought this would kind of give an interesting aspect to our enclosure, hopefully, as we went about it. I'm not really sure how it'll turn out. We will find out together. Kind of winging it at this point. I also wanted to use our excavator clay sand. Exoterra Stone Desert, that's what it's called, as a substrate, because these guys, they do tolerate it rather arid, so they don't need an abundance of moisture. So I figured something like this would kind of suit rather well and kind of tie everything together, as well as contrast nicely against our red stones. I'm going to try and position these so that there are some nooks and crannies and caves and things for our little friends to, well, our little friend to crawl into. This is grass, literally grass that I grabbed from outside. So I'm going to end up cutting pieces off here. Just going to cut off the whole end, as you can see. It's going to still be really tall for our enclosure, but I'm hoping I can bend it over. I might, or I should have probably used like a zip tie or something to hold this together, but that's okay. What we will do is, yeah, we're going to end up cutting these a lot shorter. So naturally these guys will inhabit areas that have grass and rocks and things like that, hence the grass. I'm going to try and tuck it between our rocks, and hopefully that is usable for our animal. I'm going to toss them in there as well. They like to make little funnels for their homes. Just going to gather up a couple of these smaller bits and literally just toss them in. So normally you wouldn't keep these guys very wet, so rehydrating the stone desert would be difficult. I don't fully agree with that. They do need moisture once in a while. So the little bit of moisture that I'm adding to the substrate here to harden up our clay mix is perfectly fine. And we're going to introduce our friend. So as you can see, she's decided to make a sphagnum ball home. That's our little butt. They sort of look like little blueberries. Little tiny blueberry butt. She's kind of not too impressed with me currently. Again, we're just going to kind of coach her into her enclosure by booping the little blueberry butt down onto the rock. And that's rehouse number 1 done. So for our second enclosure that we're going to do today, I've decided to use some pumice stones, which are the same as lava stones, which I used previously, except for they're white. So I pulled out 3 of those. Also switched our stone desert to black rather than the ochre that we used previously. It's going to be the same deal, where I'd like to use it as the bottom. Super dusty. Super dusty. Bit of moisture again. Nothing crazy. let it all kind of mix in with our substrate. And again, I kind of want to do a little bit of a setup where it has the rocks with the caves and things. And I'm cutting off a little bit of our grass again to make into a little pocket. This stuff might mold, it's hard to say. I would like to have this behind like that, I think. And I want to use, again, just a little bit. I did save some of the roots because it's just like a crabgrass. So I grabbed some of the roots as well, pulled it directly out of the ground. I'm just going to toss some of those in. I'm hoping with all of this variable materials, we can get some nice looking little funnels and things going on from our spiders. So here is girl number 2. Again, same thing. She has her own little sphagnum ball and another little jelly bean or blueberry bud. Not very happy with me. I don't typically handle my spiders too often, so we're just going to lower her down into her enclosure like her friend. And there we have it. Second enclosure done.